basically, we loved our house. We'd been there about 12 years. Typically, we tend to move every 10 years, but COVID interrupted that. But in the end, we decided the steps and probably the garden were just a bit too much for us. We could have coped for another 5-6 years, but we decided to bite the bullet and move. And we ideally wanted an apartment with a lift. So that was sort of a number one priority, which we got in the end.
Practicality won over. We were desperate to have a place on a single level, so that was the driving factor, I think. We had a very specific list of criteria. Would you like to go through them?
Yeah, well, as Sam has said, we were certainly looking for something flat, and we did consider flat houses for a period of time, but ideally, if it was going to be a unit, it would be a unit with a lift. We didn't really want a massive high-rise like being on the 20th or 25th floor with 250 units in a block. So we ideally wanted sort of a smaller block. We wanted north-facing, which we ended up getting. We wanted quiet because we'd been used to sort of quiet with bird song, as they describe it. And as Sam said earlier, we wanted accessibility to facilities without jumping in the car all the time. And I think the other thing we wanted, and we learnt more about as we saw a lot of property, was space, because a lot of the new properties were quite small, and we did look at a lot of new builds and just found them too small. And even moving in here, we've had to get rid of a lot of stuff, but this is actually quite a big unit compared to a hell of a lot we saw.
Because we weren't really looking at downsizing as such. We didn't necessarily want a smaller place. We just wanted a place on one level. So a larger apartment was more attractive. And neither did we want a ground floor unit with a garden.
No, we'd had that previously too.
We were a bit over gardens.
Yeah, and look, we said ages ago, I remember when we were in holidays Easter of last year, we said we wanted height because we wanted breezes. We tend to get a few gales here on the windy days. We certainly got breezes now. And we wanted a view, so they were priorities also. I mean, it was a stressful period. I remember people always saying, let me take the stress. This shouldn't be stressful for you. I think we both felt it was stressful, but that is through any purchase. But certainly people took a lot of that stress away in terms of, as I said earlier, seeing properties before us, telling us don't waste your time, organising those private inspections for us.
From the buyer's agent point of view, there was no intent on pushing us into something that didn't meet all our criteria. We just happened to strike a period when the market was very tight, and the place we were looking for was very highly in demand. So competition was quite hot, and that made it a stressful time.
You always provided us with a video of each place, which was great. And then, when we got close and decided it might be a place that we'd be interested in, you obviously provided us with the pros and the cons, and we'd sit down and work that out together. And I think you did listen to us away, so there was no pushing at all. And all the information you could get us about comparative sales and previous sales of the property was all very handy.
I think in the case of informed buyers, we had someone who had very good relationships with real estate agents. As a consequence, we were able to get a lot of information, background information, not only on the apartment we were looking at, but also on other buyers that we wouldn't have been able to get on our own. So I think the due diligence aspect is not only looking at all the facts, but also relationships with real estate agents and other people in the industry that we wouldn't have access to. The quality of the advice was spot on, really. And I think that comes down to the knowledge of the local market. Vipple's past experience in the finance industry made for a very strong negotiator. And his relationship with not only real estate agents, but other market players in general made for expert advice that gave us what we wanted in the end. The other factor I think that's worth mentioning is that we were our budget was slightly below the market on a couple of very important occasions where we came close to purchasing. We were just short of the funds required to actually make the purchase, and in the end found us a place that was equal, if not better, than any of the apartments we'd looked at, but within our price range. You could call this an off-market purchase, the apartment we bought in the end, because it wasn't really on the open market.
No.
Which was an advantage, price-wise, obviously. And I would guess that we ended up getting the place 200,000 to 300,000 better than had it been on the open market. And that's where I think a buyer's agent comes into their own. I think achieving the same result on our own would have been difficult. I suspect we'd have given up.
Well, we wouldn't have given up because we needed to find a home, but we would have ended up competing at auction.
And probably, on top of that, probably settling for something that...
lesser quality.
That was of lesser quality.
I mean, obviously there is a fee, but you have to think more broadly than just a fee for a service, because you have to think what you're going to get out of it. And the benefits, as we said, are getting something that's off market. We need expert advice. And I'm a great believer in outsourcing. If you can't do it yourself, spend the money and outsource, you'll inevitably get a better result.
I think in the end the fee is worth it, particularly when you get the sort of result we've managed to get in terms of buying a place that is worth a lot more on the market the moment you move in. But in terms of the apartment, I mean...
it's met the brief,
It's met the brief, almost exactly. We've got a lovely north-facing, sunny, large apartment.
Quiet, deadly quiet.
With all the modern cons that you'd want. Lovely kitchen, 3 large bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
And a laundry.
And a laundry, which is unusual in this day and age when so many apartments have these cupboard laundries. We've got a full-size laundry here, which is an advantage. So really we couldn't be happier. Buyers was through a recommendation, wasn't it? And I think in the end it's the personality and the rapport you have with someone that is a big factor in me.
And the knowledge of the area also, I think, people lived up the road from us, so that made things really easy, and obviously knew the lower North Shore, which is where we were mainly looking. We did extend that a little bit from time to time, such as Seaforth, but in the end we really wanted someone that knew that area well.
One of the things that impressed was just the sheer tenacity, I guess, of the process, and the fact that people stuck with us through the entire thing.
And we were quite demanding.
We were demanding and we were fussy.
I think people said we were the most demanding clients he had at the time, in a polite way. You know the area, most of those clients have been looking in this area. You obviously have a background in finance, which is really helpful, as Sam said, when it comes to negotiation. I said you're very, very responsive, which is really important to me, and that it was a really good process. And we enjoyed working with you and we got the result.